Welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We're here with the Wicked Racing League for their championship race here at Kansas. Sorry for a little bit of a late start here, but we're all ready to go now. Is this the Buttkicker 240 here? As we get to decide who is going to be a champion here tonight. As we got Steven Stimpian, our first contender, coming in here tonight with a championship chance. Alex Coffey, Gavin Rogers, our defending champion, and also Adam Buzzio in the 5, who's going to be fighting for you. You can see those drivers in the purple on our leaderboard here, as they'll be the drivers fighting for that elusive championship that awaits one of these drivers at the 160 laps here tonight. But as always, my name is Zach Hall up here in the booth. Joined alongside me on Wednesday nights, we have here Brandon Colley here, and also our producer Robert Moyer Jr. running all the great stuff in the background. But Brandon, we're here at Kansas, man. And these boys already 9 laps in, and this race starting to heat up a little bit with Richard Wolfsper taking the lead. A little bit surprising to see that.
Yeah, it's surprising indeed. I saw Richard cutting through the field here on these first opening couple of laps, already up 7 positions from where he qualified. Steven Stempien had a pretty solid handle on the field here until Wolfsper had managed to get to him, but still hanging on pretty strong in that second place. And as of right now, I think based on the early pace, I'm going to have to say Steven Stempien looking to be a favorite to win this thing, or at least the championship at the end of the night.
Ooh, and up front, the 56 into the wall. And man, oh man, that was a little bit of contact for him. That's going to give up a little bit of momentum and allow the 81 to get back to the outside. But early in these runs, Brandon, we might see a little bit of multi-groove action. I think as the run goes on, these guys will migrate all to the top side. But right now, multi-groove action here at Kansas, and that's what's going to make this race very interesting on restarts.
Oh, for sure. The progressive banking here at Kansas with the 3 distinct lanes, it makes the restarts and just fresh tires in general really dicey. You've got a lot of options to try to navigate traffic, and if you're going to get passes made, you're going to have to do it pretty early when the track is widened out, because when it gets up to the top, when everybody's running single file in this top groove here, it becomes incredibly difficult to pass. If you are faster than somebody, you're very likely to get log jammed behind him, and if they don't have a slot in front of them, you don't have a space to kind of sail it off in there and try to slide job in front. You just kind of get stuck riding in line for a little while looking for that mistake where maybe you can get a little bit of momentum and make that pass.
We'll have to see how these drivers work out this 1.5 mile racetrack here at the Kansas Speedway to figure out how they can go and win a championship. But here it is, Dallas Manis passing his teammate of Alex Coffey. And right now we're seeing Coffey and Rogers here, the 777s, as they've had a wild race all season long between those two. We're seeing these two right here. Looks like they're saving a little bit here early in the run, Brandon, compared to Steven Stempien. So we could see, one of these two maybe make a charge up there, and including also Adam Buzzio, who's even farther back than that, kind of holding back in the 5. So right now I think these guys are kind of just holding back. We'll see, does it come back around for them? I think that's going to be the huge question they got to ask themselves.
Well, we've got a lot of laps here, 160 to get through at Kansas. So by all means, take your time. Don't put yourself in a bad position. This, super early in the race right now, only 14 laps on the books here. Just feel it out. See if you can figure out a little bit something for later. Maybe see if tire saving's the way to go. Some guys, like we saw Wolfsper, elected to just go as hard as they can at the start of it, and they're kind of paying the price for it now with the handling going away. But other guys, like you talked about, the 7 and the 77, the 5 of Buzzio, a lot of these guys are just kind of hanging out and letting the car kind of come to them.
Well, this first stage, they can hang out, but they're going to need to definitely get up there and battle when it comes down to the end of this race. First stage ending here at lap 45, then second stage will end at lap 90. So we do have those 2 stage breaks that will give these drivers a chance to get back all together, and we should have no issues with fuel, either with the 80% fuel load. 45 laps should be easily done from this whole group of drivers. So we'll see what they can produce for these first 45 laps. But Steven Stempien right now leading the way. That's where he wants to be. If it was to end the race right now, he would be your champion, because remember, folks, that's how these championship formats work. It's all about being up front at the end of these races. The highest finish of the drivers in purple, that will be your champion for season number 2 here at the Wicked Racing League for the Buttkicker Cup Series. And our defending series champion, he's starting to make a little bit movement through the field. He's up to the 4th position and starting to gain a little ground on this group up ahead of him. Right now, he's got Blaine Woodson all over the back deck lid of that 77, but he's holding on for now as Alex Coffey's dropped back off this group. This has been fun to watch, and right now, Rogers sticking to the bottom lane, Brandon. This is going to be interesting to see how that plays out for him.
Yeah, it's going to be that toss-up of, is it going to be better to run the bottom for a little while and try to burn off a little bit more of that right front before you go to the top? Because we've seen people that have ripped the top with a lot of speed and really abused their tires, they tended to trend a little bit on the loose side. So maybe that's going to help for later on in the run here, or maybe this is just a calculated decision where Rogers feels more confident that, hey, if I'm consistent down here on the bottom, I will have a faster average stint time in these stages here. He's going to be able to make up some positions because he is moving back forward slightly. He's starting to run these guys down just a little bit.
That he is right now. He's trying to work over the 56 of Wolsifer, who really charged up from the field from his starting position of 8th and took the lead. And it just shows you, yes, you can go very, very fast to make up positions, but it comes at a price that you have to pay. And now you can see Rogers, I mean, 56 is well behind him. He's battling the 18 now, and 56 in the wall once again. That's going to allow the 7 to get by. That drops Richard Wolsifer back to the 6th position. Alex Coffey back into the top 5. Let's see here how these lap times are going to play out now as this field starting to spread out just that little bit. I think this is where the lap time differences are going to start to see.
And right now, looking at our championship, the top 3 in our championship 4, they're running pretty similar lap times, within a couple hundredths of each other. So the differing lines not having too much of an effect at this point in the run on the overall lap time. But we can see up at the front, Dallas Manis closing in on Steven Stempian just a little bit. And Gavin Rogers kind of holding station. I think maybe looking just to keep some clean air on his nose. Keeps going for that lower lane, but then you see Manis just ahead. He's trying to late apex line, looks like. Maybe trying to get a little bit of exit speed.
Looks like that's definitely the way he's trying to run his cars. He's done a great job to close this down somewhat here to Steven Stempian, who right now, 31.82 out front for him. Gavin Rogers at 31.71 back there on that bottom groove. And, you know, again, we're just going to have to see those differences. This first 45 laps is going to tell a ton, I believe, for not only us up here in the booth, but those drivers out on the racing surface. So we'll see how it works out. Right now, as Rogers has closed down the Manis, but will he change lanes? My question is, you know, he's got to him now. Manis has been running the bottom, or now he's going to stick it to the inside, and he's going to have this groove that he's wanted. Let's see if he can get this pass done here down in 1 and 2.
Well, he's been able to make that inside line work a lot better than really anybody else I've seen so far. The outside with a decent run here from Manis, along with the tow from Steven Stempian just in front of him. But I'm loving this, Zach, because I remember a time when you just never ran the bottom here at Kansas. It was just not an option. You were stuck rim riding the top. And I was really hopeful that these guys were going to be able to make these multiple lanes work, because when you get multi-groove racing here at Kansas, that is Kansas at its finest.
It really is. And, you know, I got to steal this quote from Denny Hamlin, but I believe it just comes down to this next-gen car. It's kind of a perfect storm, as you would say, for this track. It just seems like this car, for some reason, fits this racetrack better than most. It has the ability to move around, where in the past, like you said, Brendan, we immediately went to the top groove. Now these drivers are starting to actually kind of decide where they feel the most comfortable. And up front, Steven Stempian, I think his decision has been made where he's just staying up top all the way around this whole circuit. But a lot of others still electing to run the bottom. So we got to see if that comes back to pay off here for that 77 who stuck himself down there for multiple laps. But I think the big thing for him right now is he's having a tough time getting past his 45, who's definitely doing a good job of just fighting for this second position.
Yeah, and it seems 100% so far in this race that the outside lane is a good defensive position to be in. I think Gavin Rogers still is quicker every lap. He's been able to inch just a little bit farther and farther ahead. But you have to be absolutely perfect lap after lap to make that work, where the guy on the outside just has to hope for you to make a mistake one time, and he's going to clear you. It's going to be a pretty easy pass for him.
Right now, it's this side-by-side action. I mean, how much damage does this do to the 77's tire frame? Because he cannot run his preferred group to let the car come up off the bottom on these exits. So, in my opinion, that's where I think it's going to hurt him here with this 45 still racing hard for the second position like this.
Well, it's going to hurt a little bit. Obviously, you're not able to open up your entries as much as you want. A little bit more wheel on the exits, and it's going to build up heat over time. But these guys, as of right now, it's not really costing them too much time in terms of lap times. They're still seemingly pulling away from everybody behind them. Everybody but our top 3 look to be running in the 32-second bracket right now, while the top 3 are all running 31 9s and 8s. So still keeping it up. It was, I think we got 45 in the wall again. Manis not having a great time. Looks like he's going to scuff it yet another time, but that's the pass right there for Gavin Rogers.
that was the opportunity that he wanted, and Rogers takes over to second position. That's exactly what he had to wait for, that 45 to slip up, get into that outside wall, and that pretty much ruined all his momentum, and that allowed the 77 there to make the clean pass up to second position. Now, I think it's going to be the true test. What does Gavin Rogers have for Steven Stippian up front in the 81? Does he have the speed to run him down? Because, you know, this stage here quickly closing out. I mean, we only have to get to lap 45 right here in the next 2 laps. We're going to be 15 laps to go in this first stage. This is going to be fun to watch.
And both of them have clean air now. They're going to be able to run their complete preferred lane, and we're going to see this is truly a battle of differing philosophies at this racetrack. Steven Stippian been at the top the entire race so far, whereas Gavin Rogers been pretty committed to that bottom lane. And looking at the lap times, still pretty equal. I mean, just a couple hundred separating Stippian and Rogers. It's going to add up over time, but right now that's not a pretty significant difference in lap time considering the drastic different lanes that they've been running.
It really is not, and it's impressive to see that both lanes are able to produce speeds from both sides. So I'm impressed to see how that has played out, but I will say it does look like that run off the top groove right now is just the place to be right there. 31.97 for Stippian, 32.053 for Rogers. So almost a tenth of a second between them there. At some point, do you feel like Rogers has to move up here, Brandon, because he's seeing that 81 and just get smaller in the front windshield?
Well, I think if you're Rogers and you notice that the guy ahead of you is starting to really check out, you're going to have to look around for something different. You're going to have to, you know, move around and try to see if you can find a better spot on the racetrack that your car is going to handle a little bit better. But that doesn't just go for Gavin Rogers. That's the entire field. This track is so wide and it's showing so far in this race that all the lines will work. You've got a lot of opportunity to really find a better balance for your race car, especially with this progressive banking. You know, you can ride the seams if you want, maybe free it up just a little bit, like we used to be able to do in the older cars. The next gen with the independent rear suspension doesn't quite respond to that in the same way, but it's still an option here at Kansas.
It definitely is. I'd have to agree with that. And while we were talking there, we had some more movement. Alex Coffey up to the 3rd position for the 7. He made the pass nice and clean. Let's see what kind of lap times he's doing, because he has moved to the top side. And right there, fastest car on the racetrack, Alex Coffey. Now he is 2.2 seconds behind our leader of Steven Stippian, but about a tenth faster than the leader, while Rogers was 2 tenths slower than Stippian and 3 tenths slower than Coffey. So it's showing right now that maybe that outside groove is the way to go, as now Coffey drops it low there in 3 and 4. This is what you want to see though, Brandon, when we go to one of these racetracks, is just the options to move around.
100%. And like we talked about with you know, my thoughts on what Gavin Rogers was trying to achieve by running the low line, you're just trying to burn up a tire just enough to kind of swing the balance in a more favorable way that fits your driving style. And when you've got, especially with the different banking just throughout the corner, you can really utilize that if you understand how. And these guys that are made their way to the front here and have started to pick up more pace as this run's gone on, they've been moving around quite a bit. You know, you see Coffey up at the front. He's going to the middle, the bottom. These guys in the back still, the 8 right in the middle. Some of these other guys looking maybe just a little bit lower, taking a later apex, just trying all sorts of things.
And right here, we're looking at Jimmy Kubanek here, back here in the 8th position. He's got Steven Borbell there in the 2 machine right beside him. This is the battle for the 7th position. They are about 2 seconds behind the 5. Adam Buzzio is pulled away into the 6th position, but here comes Carl Pooler even into the picture. This is a good little battle starting to heat up from this group, so looking very good here. 35 laps into this first stage for this group, but we are starting to see some time deltas being formed from different drivers' lap times out there, and it's just showing tire wear really starting to kick in here, even though, you know, the crazy thing is, Brandon, not a ton of fall off when it comes to lap times. We're only seeing about 8 tenths of fall off, 7 tenths at other times of fall off. So not a ton of fall off, but still big differences in speed between the field, just due to the fact of certain people using up more tires than others.
Oh, exactly. And, you know, it's something that we've tended to see here at different tracks where your overall tire usage, the percentage of wear that you're getting out of your tire doesn't end up being all that high. It's more so just the temperatures get built up and it causes that fall off, and a lot of the fall off more so is just due to balancing issues. You know, some guys are getting a little bit loose, some guys maybe just a little bit tight, plowing into the corner just a little too hard. But again, that lends back to search around the track. You've got plenty of tools to work with. If you're feeling a little bit tighter, a little bit loose, there's places you can go to keep that lap time somewhat manageable.
That's the beauty of Kansas for sure, is the availability for the drivers to move all around the racing surfaces. 38 or 37 laps here in the books already as we start lap 38. Remember, lap 45 is where we need to get to. And I tell you, the fun thing I've been watching, because you know, as a driver myself, I love to watch lap times. So when I see these lap times popping up in front of me on my systems, you know, it's just a bouncing back and forth between our top three of just who is quicker. So right now, it's kind of been back and forth between them. You know, Rogers will be faster for a few laps. Caulfield will be faster for a few laps. Last time by, Steven Stipien was the fastest. So again, this philosophy of different grooves is proving to have similar outcomes. But so far, Steven Stipien has proved so far that he's been able to go the hardest, the longest. And I think that's what's going to come back to benefit him, is he didn't really have to save too much to be this fast still.
Well, I think one of the other bigger benefits for Stipien is that he's had clean air the entire race so far, where these guys have been stuck behind a little bit of traffic, and then they've had to work through that, maybe caused just a little bit more tire wear for them, but they're still, like you said, I've been watching it too, Zach, and it's crazy to watch how every couple laps one of our top three will just be a little bit quicker. This last time by, Steven Stipien and Alex Coffey a decent bit off pace, where Gavin Rogers about 2/10, 3/10 quicker than the two of them.
He really gained a lot that last lap, and I watched Stipien's car. It does seem like that 81 up front is starting to get a little bit tight. This allowing this 77 to close that gap down, and the closer we get to the end of this stage, Rogers has got it down to 0.7 of a second here, and about 2/10 faster that last time. You know, with 5 laps to go in the stage, Rogers still has a shot at this stage win. Now, points do not matter for these drivers. This is more about the mental games of winning the stage. You know, they know what comes here at lap 45. That caution is going to come out. You know, right now, this is going to be fun to watch, because also another thing is, does Steven Stipien try to take the line away, or does he stick to what he has? Because right here, the benefit for Rogers is, yes, he's running Stipien down, and we usually talk about, you run a driver down, you're going to get stuck in their turbulent wake behind them. But running that different groove, Brandon, that's going to give him more options, and still the ability to draft down the straightaways. It's kind of the benefit of both sides.
Well, I don't know necessarily if I'd think that Stipien would try to cover off and dump that dirty air as you typically would. He's seemed pretty committed up there, but then again, we haven't really seen anybody come up and challenge him so far in this race, so we'll have to see what tricks Stipien might have up his sleeve here to try to defend. But I think, talked about his tight condition, I've been noticing the center speed between Gavin Rogers and Steven Stipien. Stipien has been able to hold about a 163, 164 pretty consistently throughout the run, where I'm seeing Gavin Rogers drop down to as low as 156. 10-mile-an-hour difference here, just not overdriving the bottom, and I think that's where all of his speed is coming from this late in the run.
It really is. I believe so too, and he's closing it down. It's a half a second between our top two. 2 laps to go in stage number 1. One is Steven Stipien had to hold him back. Alex Coffey's kind of just been stuck in no man's land back about 2 seconds. He's slowly gaining ever so slightly, but just not enough time for him to run these 2 down up front. But if they get into it, that gives him an opportunity also. But they'll be coming through 3 and 4 this time right here. After they cross the line and pass that flag stand, it'll be 1 mere lap to go here at Kansas for Steven Stipien to win stage 1 here for the Buttkicker 240. Can he hold on? It's 0.4 of a second separating our top 2.
Well, I'm not sure. Unless Stipien makes a mistake here, I think he's in pretty good shape to win this stage and set himself up. But there's that mistake. He got into the wall. That's going to open up a huge run for the 77 to go to the inside into turn 3.
Big run here from the 77. Can he clear the 81, though? That's going to be the crucial moment. Stipien turning down the racetrack, trying to hold on to him, but just can't do it. Gives it up in the last lap, and Gavin Rogers wins stage 1 with a mistake from the 81 machine. And wow, that is a huge moment, Brandon. You brought it up. You can't have a mistake. If he would have made it back, fine. But that mistake getting into the wall, just too much for the 77 to hold back.
I feel like I spoke that one to existence. That was almost instantaneous.
That it was. It was a slight bit of contact with that wall, and that's all you needed. It wasn't really contact that gave the 81 damage. That contact there on the wall, really just a slight rub, and with that slight rub, you know, you lose the friction, you lose the momentum. It is just detrimental to your speed down the straightaways. That allowed Gavin Rogers to get far enough along to win that stage, and the Autism Awareness Machine back out front, and that's got to feel good for him because, you know, he ran him down there, and now he knows what he has to do for the rest of this race. And this is the thing about stage racing that is very crucial. You have to learn from your mistakes. Can Steven Stipien learn from that for later in the race?
Oh, I think he may learn that he may be pushed a little bit too hard, too early in this first stage here. And I fully anticipate we're going to see some adjustments from our entire Final Four. Buzzio up to 5th. He was battling Dallas Manis for a decent while there, trying to hold on to that 5th position, and was just a little bit off from what our front 3 were running. But I'm excited to see this next stage pop off with the fresh tires and see these guys put that knowledge to good use.
Very close there, getting into pit road. That was so close there as the drivers all caught up to the 77. And he checked it right at the last second. That was almost contact between our top 3. Luckily, everybody scaves out of that well and makes it through nice and clean. But the 77 here coming to pit road, going to get his service done. And then after that, we'll have a chat with him about his stage victory, because that's got to feel good to make up the ground late into the event, or late into the stage. He's got to be feeling very good, Brandon.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm really interested to see, you know, just kind of what his mindset was going into that run there to pull off the inside lane so well.
He really pulled it off so well, as he's going to be looking to exit pit road and hold on to that top position. Let's give him a move on up here to our broadcast room so we can have a quick chat with our stage 1 winner of Gavin Rogers. Hey Gavin, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure.
Well, buddy, you drove your way up there and got that stage victory. That's got to feel like a confidence builder for you.
Yeah, it's nice. Kind of had that stage win to the help of Stempien hitting the wall there. I'm sure he would have had it, but I think we'll be good for the long run. Hopefully, as long as we can not split the stage into an even number. I might push it all the way just so I could have the long run on my tires, because that's what I feel most confident with. But we'll have to see what happens, but I feel pretty good. I think we got our line set up pretty well, and yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Well, Gavin, congratulations again on the stage win, and you know, I got to compliment you on your ability to run the inside lane here so effectively, where other guys just couldn't seem to do it as consistently as you. You know, I got to ask, do you think that maybe it's just your ability to run the inside lane that makes it so fast, or is this track just really racy today?
It's a very fine line. I don't want to give out any secrets, obviously, but it took a lot of practice for me to figure out a line here on the bottom that really helps with the wear on the right rear, and I think if I keep on doing it, I should have a shot at the championship.
Well, Gavin, I think that's for sure, buddy. You've been excellent so far in the first portion of this race, trying to go for back-to-back championships. Best of luck to you, and hopefully we're talking to you in this thing as a champion.
Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll send him back up to his Freedom Motorsports team there, as he's getting the help from the spotting booth there of Mason Hossman. So teammate Mason Hossman not able to race here, suspended from last week, so he could not race here tonight, and he's up in the booth trying to help out his teammate win a championship. And it can help a ton, Brandon, having just that extra set of eyes on the racetrack.
Oh, 100%. You just get a broader scope of the way the race is transpiring. You get some lap time info, you know, just little differences on, hey, this guy's running this, you know, just a little bit different than you are. Oh, he's a little bit faster through this part of the corner. Try to do this. There's a lot of things that just having that extra set of eyes can help you do, and all you have to do at that point is just focus on driving. You don't have to worry about your fuel calculations. Oh man, when do I need to pit? None of that. You can just focus on driving, and it makes it a ton easier.
It really, really does. Remember here, folks, stage 1 here completed lap 45. Second stage at lap 90. So we'll have a similar style run, about 5 laps less due to the caution laps we've had here to get to lap 50. So it will be a little bit of a shorter run. So I'm interested to see what plays out differently as we got our driver cams here, because guess what? We got our top 2 drivers on the cam here, as you got Gavin Rogers and Steven Stimpian right there on the right side of our screen as they're getting ready to come to the restart zone, and they're ready to go. I mean, even Gavin Rogers, he's tightening up the belts. I mean, he's ready for this one here, as he's going to get right in the prime position. Can he hold back the 81? What happens here? Let's see how stage 2 plays out here for the Buttkicker 240. Phil, what you've been missing? We're about to crown a champion here tonight at 160 as they're coming into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out, and Rogers onto the apron, getting a huge jump, as now the battle is going to be on for that second position. What does Blaine Wilson, what does Alex Coffey do here behind the 81?
Well, it looked for a second like Coffey was going to try to get to the outside of Steven Stimpian, but elected not to go for it. Back to the bottom lane through 1 and 2, and then Blaine Wilson, he's going to throw his name into the hat to try to go lead this thing. He's by Stimpian, charging on the inside to try to track down Rogers and go lead some laps.
See if he can track him down. The 18 has been quick at mile and a half before. This could be his opportunity, though. With these drivers worrying about each other, it could be his opportunity to slip in here and get a good run as he holds on to the second position. And it looks like getting Stimpian right away to the top side. And our leader, Gavin Rogers, stuck on that bottom groove where he likes to be. We'll have to see, can Adam Buzzio figure a little something out here in the 5 machine? He was way back during that stage and finished in the 5th position. Luckily got himself up to there, but we'll see, does he elect to do something similar here and give up as much ground as before?
Really early to kind of tell if anybody's saving or, you know, just not quite having the pace here tonight, as everybody's so equal on the fresh tires. Guys that are pushing hard can run just as fast as guys that have just got the natural speed at this place. So we're going to have to see in about 10-15 laps if Buzzio starts falling back, or if he's able to hold steady with the rest of these guys ahead of him here to try to make that charge to win himself a championship.
And I tell you, you know, we've seen Brandon, that 7 in the 77, get into it multiple times this season. You know, if the top 3 get into it, that could be where Buzzio comes into the picture and has his best opportunity. But right now it looks like he's going straight to the top side. He says, you know what I did before ain't working. Let's see if we can get some track position, as he's got Manis right here on his front bumper as we're riding on board with that 5 machine, as he's trying to get himself up there into the picture of this championship fight.
Trying to see just how hard he can push, how much he needs to push to be able to solidify a pass. He got close, but kind of faded just a little bit there through 3 and 4. See if he rips the top again through 1 and 2. He does. Goes to the middle, now fading back to the bottom. I'm not sure if you want to do that too many times, but early on, you can definitely make up some time doing it.
You definitely can. Here is now Carl Pooler, the 71, his limitless esports machine, trying to make up some ground. He's got that 47 of Johnny Shade, a multi-time winner here at Wicked Racing League, right in front of him. Ooh, Pooler so close to the wall, and I feel like that's a common occurrence here at Kansas as these drivers scare that safer barrier a few times or more.
Oh, especially out of turn 4, Zach. The exit of turn 4 gets extremely tight the later into the run you go. And it's the inverse for the exit of 2. It just seems to trend to the loose side. And I'm not sure exactly why that is, but that's always been my experience here at Kansas. These guys are learning that firsthand. I'm sure, like, you know, we saw with Steven Stimpian just brushing the wall just a little bit here. You're going to want to keep it out as much as possible. Get close, but don't quite hit it, because this is all about momentum here, and we saw what a little scuff will do to your momentum.
Momentum could be lost by that scuff to the wall, and luckily for everybody, I've gone through the field and looked at a lot of the right sides of these cars. Nobody with major issues with the right side. So, you know, anybody that's gotten to the wall, like Manis, like Wolsifer, and Stimpian, they've all done a great job of not getting tons of damage, and I think that's huge for them. Is now we're checking out the 20 machine of Nigel Christensen back here in the 13th position. He started on pit road, so this is his first chance to be up here with this group. And We'll see if he can get up into the mix. It's been a few weeks out for Christensen, but makes an appearance here in the championship race.
Yeah, looks like I believe he got his lap back on that stage. I'm not sure if he even went down a lap, but if he did, he definitely got it back. Now trying to just find the speed. Now that he's with guys. Ooh, just ahead of him. Looks like Borbell's having himself some issues.
Tua definitely a little bit slow right now. He's dropping back into the clutches of that 20 as we just seen Carl Pooler make the pass on Johnny Shade there for position to move himself up to 7th. But a little bit of a different position here this time for Carl Pooler and his teammate of Richard Wolsifer, is Pooler in 7th, Wolsifer in the 9th position. You know, Wolsifer drove up to the lead in that first run. I think maybe learning that was not the greatest decision to go out there and use them tires up.
I would have to 100% agree with you, Zach. Being a lot more patient this run out of the 56 camp. Just biding his time, where Pooler, he's starting to make inroads. He's closing in slowly on Adam Buzzio in the 5 just ahead of him. And you see Alex Coffey on screen here trying to work his way toward the front 2. We're just about side by side battling for the lead.
That they are. Steven Stimpian with a good run off of 4. Looking to the outside, but not there yet. The 77 going to close the door on entry as the 81 just not able to get right to the quarter pound. But I think here off of 2, it's going to be inevitable as we do have it. It's side by side for the lead. Steven Stimpian wanting to get back to the clean air, running that outer groove. And you got to commend Gavin Rogers. I think this run can only be better for him, Brandon, here, because he had to start, in that 4th position and kind of lost a few positions in that early first 9 laps, scrap of this race, and had to slowly march his way up to Steven Stimpian. This time he's going to be right here with him, and Stimpian had to go around him. It's going to be a much closer delta, I think, between these two for majority of this run.
I completely agree. They're not going to lose touch with each other for very much. Pretty equal clean air, especially because they are running exact opposite lines. That's nothing but clean air for the both of them here. And Gavin Rogers was a little hesitant to talk about maybe what he had learned that was making him so fast on the bottom. And I have suspicion that what Gavin Rogers may have found out that makes the bottom work so well for him is the exact same thing that Stimpian has found out that makes the top work so well for him.
It's very possible that is the case, man. I mean, you look at it, and these drivers completely different ways of going about it, and they're doing completely similar things when it comes to lap time. So it's fun to watch when you got different aspects out there on the racetrack. As we're checking out Adam Buzzio, our 4th of the 4 final 4 contenders. Right now, he's got his hands full. Carl Pooler all over him, and it looks like Buzzio, once again, kind of giving up a little bit of time here to that front group. But he's having to fight this 71 off. This makes everything that much more tough because you don't want to lose too much track position. So sometimes you just got to push a little bit harder, and that can come back to bite Buzzio a little bit.
It's such a fine line for tire saving, but also managing your track position. Because to manage your track position, you're going to have to push a little bit harder than you necessarily would want to, because it's so hard. We saw with the lap times later in the run, they end up being so equal that you really can't make up a ton of ground if you've given it up to try to save the tires. So right now it's just kind of managing that tire plus your track position, just to make sure that if you do have a decent bit of pace left in the tank at the end of these runs, that you're going to be able to get up there and make passes with it.
That's going to be a crucial thing these drivers have to execute and do. Is right now we're seeing everybody all in line. Our first group of 7, all within 1.3 seconds of each other. And it's really right now all about putting the speed on the line. And right now we're even side by side again for the lead, as Rogers has started to find a little bit of speed there on that bottom groove again. He's back alongside Steven Stimpian. So it looks like this lead may change hands here in the next lap.
Well, looking at the reactions of Gavin Rogers' car through the different sections of the corner, he's being a lot more aggressive this time around, Zach. I'm seeing his car pitch a ton when he gets back to the throttle.
Looks like that may be the case for him, as he's almost clear, but just not clear enough to pull up in front of the 81, who has a good head of steam off that top groove. And, it could be a case also, is Steven Stimpian trying to save a little bit up top, and not carry as much speed. I think we could have, I feel like a lot of times people, when we watch out there, we just think these guys are going all out 100% every single lap. A lot of this is cat and mouse games of you go ahead and go hard a little bit and burn your tires up. You do this, and it's one of those things where you just want to go just fast enough.
Yes, it is one of the most frustrating things to deal with, driving really any of these cars here on iRacing, is that a lot of times it tends to be, I'm going to go just fast enough to pass you, and then I'm going to slow down. And then once you get close enough that you might pass me again, I'm going to start going faster. And it's just kind of a snowball effect where guys are trying to get to the clean air and then immediately slow down.
It is one of those things you got to deal with. And, it comes down to, folks, these are fixed setups. Everybody out here, even different manufacturers, has the same setup, same parameters underneath their car. So everybody's on equal footing. So it's all based down to your driving and how you make the tires wear. So that's what kind of makes these games of playing around with each other and, try not to show your full hand, because that's why Rogers doesn't want to tell anything. There's no difference between the top 2 or top 3 cars. They just have differences in the way they attack the corners, and that's what produces speed on the long runs, is just being able to be more efficient with your tire wear.
And exactly. And these guys are so good at what they do that had Gavin Rogers given up any little hint about what it was that he's doing, if that gets back to any of the other Championship 4, they're not going to take a long time to adjust it and implement it and be just as fast.
Exactly right. That is one thing these drivers can do, is they can just be so adaptive. And that's what makes a good driver a great driver, in my opinion, is just having that ability to adapt as the race goes on with what you learn out there on the surface. But we're now under 20 to go here with lap 70 complete, now completing 71 here in stage number 2. We're going to go ahead and step aside for our first commercial break of the night here for the Buttkicker 240 here at the Wicked Racing League for the Buttkicker Cup Series. It's been a great one so far. Our top 3 all Championship 4 contenders with Adam Buzzio back in the 6th position. It's going to be fun to see who can get it done. You ain't going to miss a thing. We'll be side by side. We'll be back in the next few moments.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Bouchard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As that's still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back to the Buttkicker 240 here at the Wicked Racing League. As we've been racing hard here in stage number 2 with our top 2 out front of Gavin Rogers, Steven Stympian, and Alex Coffey waiting in the clutches right here behind the top 2. But here we are coming to complete lap 79. Remember, lap 90 is the end of the stage. We had a dramatic end to the last stage. What will happen here for stage number 2 for these drivers competing for this championship? But at the moment, right now, it's been clean and green, and Brandon, it's getting a little spicy for that lead once again. It seems like Steven Stympian's picked up the wick.
100% he has, Zach. He has been able to generate some pretty massive runs to contend and try to take that lead back. I think we're finally reaching the point. Gavin Rogers seems to have been pushing just a little bit harder this run on the bottom, and it seems for the middle part of our run, the bottom was working really well the way he was driving it, but it seems like that top's coming back around.
It does seem to be that way at the moment, but Rogers with a blazing lap last time by to open up the gap just that tiny bit to give him some breathing room here. But man, this has been interesting to see. I mean, you know, if you're Steven Stympian, you see the 2 around you, you're fighting for a championship here, running that bottom groove. Do you make the switch, or do you just commit to what you feel is right?
Well, I think you know which line works for you and is most comfortable for you, but especially knowing that you're going to have a caution to reset, I feel like you take this opportunity here to try something else, to try to learn a little bit, so that if you're in a situation later in the race, maybe Gavin Rogers comes up and takes the top from you, you've got something in your back pocket to rely on to try to get past him.
We'll have to see if he tries something different, but right now our top 2 completely different lines. But it looks like Alex Coffey this time going to venture up to the top groove and see what he has to produce. But I think just no one has been able to find the success that the 77 has had on the bottom. And I know under a commercial break there we were talking, Brandon, and you feel like maybe he's found a little something there on that bottom groove.
Yeah, it seems like looking through everybody's onboards here, about 90% of the field has learned that, hey, shifting down to 4th gear here in the corners is tremendously fast. And it seems to me that Alex Coffey, the way that the gearing is set up for this fixed setup these guys have here at Kansas, when he punches back to the throttle, if he gets back into it really hard, he is able to rotate the back end of the car, and it turns itself. And that's going to help him a lot, especially with the right front wear. It's going to hurt his right rear wear a little bit, and that was something he talked about saving. He learned how to save just a little bit, so he may be still on equal footing, being able to be this aggressive, but he has shown a little bit of weakness. There's been some laps that he has missed it big time, and that's allowed Stympian to close in the gap.
It really has. As we're riding on board here, Blaine Wilson, as he's starting to lose grip to Adam Buzzio and Dallas Manis, who are battling for that 4th position, sorry. And this will be crucial for Buzzio. He needs to try to get up in this top 4. So if something was to happen, he's right here to capitalize on it, and he will take over that 4th position. So final 4 in the top 4 positions.
Well, now that Buzzio has some clean air, I'm interested to see what lap times he's going to be able to put down compared to our front three ahead of him. All 4 championship drivers in the top 4 right now, and this is kind of what you'd come to expect in this playoff format.
It really is. It seems like every time the Final Four produces, speed in the final race to be out front, and that's why most of the times they're the drivers that get there. But even sometimes you'll have some underdogs who get to that Final Four, and they just have that much more speed because, again, the preparation you put in throughout the week is huge when it comes down to these races, and that's what really gets you in the position you need to be. But right now, once again, battle up front for the lead. It's Steven Stympian coming back at the 77. Can he get a Stage 2 victory and reverse what happened in the last one? Right here, he's close, Brandon.
He's close, and he's trying a different line, Zach. He ran the middle through 3 and 4 last time, but I've seen Gavin Rogers come up and try to protect the top. Now Rogers entry, middle, fades back low. Stympian trying the same thing. A little bit out of shape there. Oh, he's going to catch the fence again. Not nearly ruining the momentum like it did at the end of the last stage, but that allows Alex Coffey to get the nose to the inside of the 81.
Alex Coffey loves to see that. He wants to make a nice, clean pass on the 77 and try to get himself up there. And with these two being side by side here, this is going to allow Rogers to get that much more speed produced from him. 2 laps to go here in stage number 2. Who's going to be able to hold on to win it, or can Gavin Rogers back it up and win another stage?
Well, again, as long as there's no mistakes, I think Gavin Rogers is going to be able to hold on to win this stage. But Stympian, barring any mistakes too, that outside lane has been able to produce some tremendous runs.
It really has. It's been close, and I think this is the fun thing to see is we got 1 lap to go here, stage number 2. We're going to ride on board here with Steven Stympian during this lap, and look at the difference here. Up top, all the way against the wall. Gavin Rogers brings it down below that seam. Here off the exit of 2. It's going to be a good run from the 81. He's going to close in just that little bit, but not going to be close enough here as they head into 3 for the final time here in stage number 2. Rogers, though, perfect throughout majority of this run, and he's going to be able to hold on to win stage number 2 and back up what he did in stage 1.
And if this is an indication of what we are going to see at the end of this race, I am here for it, Zach. Our front 3 all under a blanket at this point, and it looks like Adam Buzzio, he's starting to pick up the pace. He's finding just a little bit. He was not too far off of the lap times that some of our leaders were turning. I hope that he has learned a decent bit here in this last 2 stages, that for the long haul towards the end of this race, he's going to be in the mix to race with these guys.
It very well could be that way. I mean, you got to get better as the race goes on, they say. Well, this is the time to do it here in the final race of the 2nd season of the Wicked Cup Series, or Wicked Racing League here, as they've been amazing so far through these first 92 laps here, as Rogers able to win 2 stages and possibly look to get himself a 2nd championship. So this is going to be fun. And like you said, Brandon, I'm here for it, man. These 3 up front were so close, and if Buzzio can get close too, we're going to have a 4-way battle for that championship. As they're going to get ready to bring it to pit road here. As we talked to Rogers last time under the stage break, we'll talk to Steven Stympian on this next one to get his opinion, because, running a completely different groove, he's got to have a completely different outlook on this race.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 2 sides of the same coin. I mean, it's been crazy to see the lap time consistency between the 2 lanes. And we keep talking about it because it's really one of the most interesting things and the most sought after type of racing that we look for here on iRacing. It's just multi-grooves where you can go all over the track and find the same speed.
We love to see that when it produces speed for just different spots on the racetrack. It gives these drivers that much more ability to get things done. But as they jack up them right sides of them cars, they'll come around to the left, get the final set of 2 tires on that left side of the car, and we should be exiting pit road here in the next few moments, as Rogers will win the race off pit road. Steven Stympian will bring it out in 2nd. Alex Coffey 3rd. Adam Buzzio 4th. As you can see on the ticker, our top 4, all of them are playoff drivers with those purple banners on there. So it's going to be fun to watch these final 70 laps play out. But let's go ahead and bring Steven Stippian here from Smoke Inc. up to the booth up here and have a chat with him about getting second in that stage. Hey, Steven, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Gentlemen, I do.
Well, buddy, that first stage didn't play out the way you wanted, just clipping that wall on the last lap and giving up that lead. But, man, that was a much harder fought there battle for stage 2. How do you feel entering that final stage?
Pretty good. I learned something on that first stage. I pushed a little bit too hard on that first stage. And the second stage was more of my rhythm. I feel pretty good, though. I feel car was rotating a lot better than it was in that first stage. So, and the tire wear was a little bit better. I know we had a little bit shorter run, but the tire wear looked good. So, we'll see. Just it's gonna be a mayhem last stage here. We'll see what happens.
Well, Steven, we've been talking about how wide this track is, how racy and multi-groove this track has been the entire race, and you've been pretty comfortable right up there against the wall. Do you feel like there's any other spot on the racetrack you may have picked up a little bit of speed just to kind of have in the back pocket for later on in the race should you need it?
Yeah. I mean, at that last stage, I think I was making the middle work a lot. I think if we had another lap or two, I probably would have been able to get past Gavin. I was pushing really hard, so we'll see, man. It's gonna be fun.
That it will be, Steven. Good luck to you, bud. Hopefully we're talking to you as a champion after this race is over.
I hope so, guys. Fingers crossed. Come on, let's go.
All right, that was the driver from Smoke Inc., the second place finisher in both stages. He's feeling confident, man. That's what you want to hear if you're one of those playoff contenders. And, the interesting thing is about the playoff here, Brandon, we got a 70-lap run, 80% fuel load. These drivers aren't going to make it on fuel. So this run here is going to come a little bit down the strategy. We kind of heard Gavin Rogers allude to taking it longer on his strategy. What do you think is going to be the best course of action for someone like Alex Coffey or Steven Stippian, who right now is behind Rogers and even Adam Buzzio? These guys trying to gain track position on that 77.
Well, I think based on the tire fall off that we've been seeing, I don't think running long is going to be the play that you want to go with here. I think just an undercut, not a drastic undercut, but an undercut is going to do you just fine, especially to get the clean air. And force, we've seen what it's like when these guys push really hard to run down a gap or to make up positions quickly. It burns up the tires very quickly. So if you can force them to have to push that little bit to run you down at the end, you're going to be in a much better position, especially with the clean air. And I'd rather be the one setting sail than the one having to chase that dog and try to make that pass.
We'll have to see what strategy works best here, as we're going to get him double file back up here in 3 and 4 and get him ready to go back. Green flag racing here for the Buttkicker 240, and man, this is going to be fun to watch. Top 4, final 4 contenders all in the front of the field. It's anybody's game here for the final 70 laps. Let's see who can get the job done. Rogers off and away from him. Great start for the 77, but it's the 81 who's just going to come down just in front of the 80 of the 7 of Coffey and cover him off. But now the 81 into the wall. This is going to open up the door for Alex Coffey.
Well, that's not the first time we've seen the 81 into the fence, but he should generate a pretty good run here out of turn 2, and yes, he does. And now that's going to bring Blaine Whistle. Oh, he's got a caution.
They are wrecking on the back stretch here as it's multiple cars around. Stephen Borbell, Johnny Shade, all of them involved in this one, as it was a melee off of turn number 2, folks. And that's going to bring out the first, natural caution of the night. Third one with our 2 stage cautions, and man, this is shook it up a little bit of the chances here, because the longer we go into this, Brandon, the closer we get to making it on fuel. I don't think we can do it yet, but if a caution plays out right, we could get some fuel mileage interesting games here.
Yeah, and that's going to shake up everything. If we get to a position where some guys feel, hey, if I pit here and top off, I can make it to the end, where other guys say no, we're expecting another pit stop. The end of this race is going to get very interesting. I mean, we saw it last week at Darlington, where some guys pit right about the time that they could make it to the end, and other guys elected to stay out. And had it not been for that very late caution, it would have been a completely different picture for the end of that race. And you see it here on the replay, this most recent caution Looks like to me, Zach, watching that back, Johnny Shade had his right sides just above that top seam, and he really seemed loose throughout most of that corner, and unfortunately carrying over to the exit and just tagging the Tua Borbell.
Tough break for both of those drivers, and you can probably allude to a little more, Brandon, but those seams, they do have a major effect on the car with this progressive banking.
Well, it's what we used to call de-wedging. I guess it would still be de-wedging the car, and it used to be just a way to help the balance. It shifted the weight on the tires just a little bit and would tend to make you a little bit more on the free side. It helps you turn a little bit, but with the independent rear suspension on these cars, it doesn't quite react the same anymore, and it's kind of a very thin line between, okay, I'm turning a little bit, and oh man, I'm turning way too much.
It really can be, and especially those cold tires, they can exaggerate that feeling just a little bit. So fresh tires these guys are on could make that a little bit of an interesting case for them, but looks like nobody elected to pit under this caution, so probably not, a chance to make it on fuel here. So I'm interested to see, what these guys look to do here when it comes to strategy. Was I'm almost to the point, Brandon, where you just want to go flat out here and pit somewhat decently early.
I think that is the game plan, Zach. I think that is the correct strategy. We have to look at exactly when the even split in this final stage is going to be, but if you can push decently hard, knowing that maybe you only have to go 30 laps, especially with this caution, we're most likely going to only have about a 30 and 30 split. If you can push pretty decently and still have decent pace for 30 laps here, so I think that is a pretty decent play to go with.
That very well could be the opportunity that opens up for one of these drivers, because on that restart there, Buzzio lost the position. The 5, in my opinion, has nothing to lose here. Just go for it if you got the opportunity and you feel like you can get up there and mix it up. At least make the other guys worry. I think that's one thing that you can do yourself is, if you go up there and drive past them, it makes everybody question what they're doing.
Yeah, if you're seeing the guy that's been right about 5th, 6th, maybe 7th place suddenly blow your doors off, those guys are going to start pushing just a little bit harder. Just kind of those mind games and psych them out, maybe make them go just a little bit harder than they want to, and it might come back around to you towards the end of the run.
It very well could. So we'll see what these drivers elect to do here. As we're just now completing lap 99, 61 laps to go in tonight's event here for the Buttkicker 240. We've seen a pretty wild one from our top 3 so far. They've been super close to each other, and it's really any man's game now. We just got to see who can put it all together, because that's what it comes down to these championship races, is the driver that makes the least amount of mistakes half the time is the one that brings it home.
Exactly right, Zach. You just got to be consistent. You have to put a full race together. You've got these free gimmies with these 2-stage cautions that if you make a mistake, you can get semi-reset here. But if you can manage to not make those mistakes, not have to rely on those cautions to get you back in the mix and maintain your track position, you're going to be in a much better spot than anybody who has had those mistakes and had to rely on these cautions.
We'll see who can do the job they need to do to get that championship. Season 2 championship on the line here at Kansas. It's anybody's game. Top 4, Final 4 contenders, all in the top 5. We'll see which one can get the job done here, so to speak. As they're coming out of 3 and 4, the pace car is going to pull down back to pit road, and we'll be 60 laps to go here at Kansas with 4 drivers with all an opportunity to go win a championship. The green flag is back out, and we're off and away for the Buttkicker 240.
Steven Stimpy in a much better restart. I was looking for that out of the 81. He slacked just a little bit on the most recent handful that we've had, but he was able to time that one pretty well and get a decent gap back to Coffee, who's now under fire from Blaine Wilson.
Let's see what the opportunities lie here for these drivers down the back straightaway, though. There's some racing going on. It's the 5 of Buzzio trying to make his way forward, but he's got Manis, the 71 of Pooler, the 56 of Wolsifer, and now even the 7 of Coffee here. He has a big moment there in the middle of 3 and 4, loses his position to Blaine Wilson as our top 2 look to drive away. The rest of the group is scattering.
Oh, we're about to be 3 wide back here with Buzzio, Coffee, and Manis. Manis decides to roll out of it just a little bit. Buzzio on the move here. Maybe Coffee trying to save just a little bit of tire early on in this run.
And they're wrecking again down the back straight with a 2 of Boorbell, the 56 of Wilson for all of them around, and caution is back out on the speedway. As man, oh man, the back group there just not having the greatest time when it comes to staying off each other, and it was 4 wide almost for a moment down that back straightaway. That kind of made that all play out there.
Yeah, Boorbell not having a great time on the exit of 2 here lately, and you'll see they're 3 wide. They managed to exit the corner pretty decently, but I think it looks like Boorbell maybe comes up just a little bit. I don't know. Ooh, he gets bumped by the 20 of Christensen, and that sends him over into the 8, and then it's just a chain reaction. Wolsifer going to get ping-ponged back over, and then calamity ensues.
Tough break for all 3 of them there as Christensen just gets through that there. As like you said, it was the hit from the 22, the 2 machine that kind of sent him up into that group, and it sends them all spinning there as a little bit of damage occurred for all of them. And again, this is putting the interesting position here, Brandon, because right now these drivers are saying, what do we do change up strategy wise? And Adam Buzzio is the first one to do it. He brings it to pit road. I love this call.
If you're behind, be bold. It might come back around to you here, might pay off. You may get a caution to come your way. And I was expecting that if these guys felt maybe that they were close enough on fuel that even just a little bit of saving could get them to the end here, we'd see a decent portion of at least our final 4 come down. But Buzzio, he's going to be the odd one out here and try to make something happen with a differing strategy call.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look at the numbers here, Brandon, just to see, what the possibilities are, because if this is possible to make it to the end, I think Adam Buzzio, if we go green from here, he has played the masterclass strategy, and he might pull the rug out from underneath all these drivers and say, well, you should have been paying attention, because sometimes it's easy to do. When you're in the car, you kind of lose sight of what's going on around you. You lose track of how many laps there are left in the race, and that can very well upset your chances of, making the right call. And right here, Adam Buzzio going for it, man.
And this kind of lends back to what we talked about earlier with having that extra set of eyes, that person on the box for you to kind of, have their mind on the strategy calls. How close is it on fuel? Maybe we should pit here. Because as a driver, you've got so many things already going through your mind. You're playing back the last restart. What could I have done different? What did some of the other guys do? Maybe just a little bit better. Could I copy that? Do I feel comfortable doing that? That you completely forget about strategy and completely forget about how close maybe you are on fuel. And it's just an easy thing to do as a driver when you've got all this on your plate that you're having to worry about.
And looking at a little bit of numbers here, Brandon, I've done the math with an 80% fuel load, which is 16 gallons than regular than our normal 20 gallons. Adam Buzzio is going to be about 4 laps short. I'm very confident that you could save that much, man. I mean, this next-gen car has opportunities to save tons of fuel, and this track also has opportunities to save tons of fuel. I would not put it out of the realm that Adam Buzzio can save the fuel here if we go green, and he can very well end up our champion if he's able to keep enough pace and keep that car within, good grips. And, even here, he can come back down and top off here. I think that makes the opportunity that much even bigger. If I'm that 5, you got to come back down here on this 1 to go and top that car off.
I 100% agree. I would fully anticipate seeing Adam Buzzio dip back onto pit road here, just get that little bit of a top off, just that little bit more in the tank. We'll have to see if he decides to come in, but he does not decide to come in and top that car off here, giving up a little bit of free fuel, a little bit less saving that he would have to do. But like you said, saving in this next gen car is so much easier because there's so much more off throttle time at so many racetracks compared to what we're used to in the old generation of car, where you barely had to lift at a lot of tracks and you were almost full throttle immediately. The off throttle time that we have now, you just back up the corner just a little bit more, let it roll just a little bit more, and that snowballs lap after lap after lap, and we've still got 54 laps to go here when they take the green. So it's very much in the realm of possibility that you can somehow save 4 laps, especially drafting with some of these guys, and potentially sneak this one out from under our top 3.
Another possibility, do not shift. That saves you some fuel also. So there is plenty of opportunity there. I'm surprised he didn't top off. I mean, yeah, he probably didn't lose some of his track position, but there's only 5 cars behind him. It's not a huge loss in my opinion. I would have topped that off there just to make me safe, have that much more wiggle room to use the fuel, but elected not to do so. That's an interesting call that was made, but it doesn't matter. We're going back green flag racing here for the Buttkicker 240. Gavin Rogers leading the race. Steven Stippian in the 2nd position. Alex Coffey there 4th, our 3rd Final 4 contender. And Adam Buzzio restarting back in 8th. And the green flag is back out. And we're off and away as Steven Stippian not able to get the best start there. He didn't clear the 18, but should here down in the 1.
Oh, almost a big moment for Coffey and Wilson there. That was pretty close to contact. Doesn't look like Coffey is going to lose any more positions other than just having to check up a little bit. Blaine Wilson now getting to the inside of Steven Stippian at the front, trying to make that bottom work right along the apron. They're wiggling all over the place, just hammered down on the throttle, trying to make the run out of the corner work, but that outside is so strong early in these runs.
It really is. That outside groove is very, very pivotal here and carries a ton of speed. As right now, look at the two in 2nd place and 3rd of Wilson and Stippian. They look like they closed up on the 77 very quickly as the 77 must have backed the corner up. Now it's going to give Steven Stippian an opportunity to look inside, but he elects to go back high here. Can he carry the momentum to the outside of the 77? And I don't think there's any reason to save if you're one of these drivers up here up front. You can push to your heart's extent and then have a good early pit stop to make this run to the end.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. If you were running 80% before, you're dialing it up to 90 here. You don't want to completely torch your tires because you still have to do 30 laps. Well, not even at this point. Now you've got to do 20 from here if you want to split this down the middle. So you've got a decent bit of speed that you can get out of these tires, knowing that it's going to be such a short run for you. And Steven Stippian looking to take advantage of that, where Gavin Rogers being just a little bit more patient.
It really is. Rogers being more patient here. Could that come back to hurt him, or is that what he wants to do? Is that going to feel like the opportunity that gives him the best chance? We'll have to see if Stippian was able to take that lead back, but here it is. Adam Buzzio back here in the 6th position, running that outer groove. That's another concern for me, Brandon, is, yeah, you want to be in the draft of the drivers ahead of you, but running this outside groove, it's, you know, the fuel here is going to be more usage there up top, taking that longer distance around, also more throttle time. If I'm this 5, I'm trying everything to make the fuel work because I really think it's possible.
Well, and that tells me one of 2 things, that Buzzio has realized that he may have miscalculated a little bit here, and his strategy to try to save fuel is out the window, and he's just going to go for it at this point. Or maybe he just isn't quite that good at fuel saving. I'd like to give Buzzio a little bit more credit than that, but that's about the only thing that I could think of, being as close as he is on fuel and running that top lane.
And, you know, sometimes as a driver, you want to open up these first couple laps and just staying in the draft and running hard. Then you can save a little bit later if you just stay and stick with someone. So that could be the opportunity he's looking for. But right now it looks like he's trying to make moves as he's going to look to the inside. Alex Coffey down the back straightaway here and try to make up that positioning on him. And as he dives it to the inside, it looks like Coffey just going to give it up. So Rogers and Coffey looking to save a ton here. But I don't see the benefits of saving here just due to how short each of these stints are going to be.
And lap times are ticking off pretty quick, just over 30 seconds a lap here. So you've got 15 minutes now, 10 minutes roughly, before your next pit stop. Just go for it. I'm not sure. Heard him say that, man, he wanted to maybe run a little bit longer. He felt pretty good with the long run speed that he would have. But I'm not sure that long run speed is going to translate very well over a 30 laps little stint that these guys in all likeliness will elect to go with.
Very well could be that way, man. This is interesting to see. I mean, these drivers electing to do different style things, and that's what you have in your wheelhouses. You know, hey, I'm going to pull this off differently, you're going to pull that off differently, and it could very well come back to hurt and help these drivers when it comes down to the end of this event. But once again, Steven Stippian, the only driver really ripping that outside line. That could come back to hurt him, or it could be his savior being that driver all up there by himself.
Well, and another way to look at it too, Zach, is if Rogers plans on running it long, that's going to make his final stint of the race shorter, which means he's going to be able to push harder. So saving now to get just that little bit of extra speed, to give up just a little bit less time when he's run long over the guys that are a little bit of contact with him, between himself and Blaine Wilson. That little bit of extra speed he's going to be able to carry towards the end of the final run after his final pit stop. It may make the difference. Ooh, even more contact now. These guys are getting after it.
They really are. Rogers thought he was going to clear himself, but just wasn't clear and almost turned himself off the nose of this number 18 machine. But looks like he'll just redo it and try to go back to pass him here. But Rogers in a position he hadn't been in all night on the outer groove, and Wilson going to pass him. This is the opportunity that Steven Stippian loves to see. Drivers passing that 77 gives him that little bit more of a wiggle room there to push this car and try to open up this gap as they're going for it still in that second spot. As Buzzio, he's looking to take advantage of all of it. He's driving to the outside of him almost.
Yeah, Buzzio sitting there looking through the windshield, licking his chops, saying, yes, yes, keep racing. Just that hard, burn up your stuff. It's going to be an easy pass. Oh, as Gavin Rogers gets into the 18, he manages to save it. Oh my God, so close to disaster for one of our championship, at least one of our championship four.
And that checks up Buzzio, that checks up Coffee. Now Coffee takes advantage of it. He passes the 5 of Buzzio. Now he's going to dive to the inside of the 18, and Rogers willing to risk it there, knowing what's probably on the line. Is, man, oh man, it is that was an interesting decision. You know, he risked a lot there, in my opinion, in the 77 to, you know, dive to that inside of the 18. So we'll see how it works out. But right now, our top 2 just trying to drive away as Coffee's got himself back into the top 3. Buzzio now into 4th. Our final 4 all in the top 4 positions.
And we've got the champion, the rival, the rookie, and the underdog here fighting for a championship, all in the top 4 positions. And Buzzio picked up the pace like I figured he would, trying to make something happen here. I am so excited for these laps to wind down, to see how this thing is going to play out, Zach.
No doubt, Brandon. I tell you, I cannot wait to get to 160 because it's going to be fireworks. I think we're going to have a spectacular finish coming down to the checkered flag here, and it's going to be one to remember here for season 2. But at the moment, they're really trying everything in their playbook to get this done. As you can see here, the 18 of Wilson is right ahead of the 45 of Manus, the 47 of Johnny Shade here for 5th, 6th, and 7th. He's trying his best to get right back up into the mix after that big slide. So we're seeing some big change up here throughout the field.
Yeah, we surely are. And looking at the lap times, everybody from our first place position to 10th place position. Not this past time, but the time before, they were all within a 10th of each other. These guys are so close on speed. Passes are at a premium right now.
Up the wick, trying to do everything they can do to find the speed here to get themselves up in position. And my question is, when do we start seeing pit stops happen? When do we have drivers that like to come down? And look, Blaine Wilson, he's the first one to do it, but he misses pit road there. So tough break for him there. And I think he had contact from the 47 as he was trying to get woed down for pit road. That made him not slow up enough. Wilson, who has been having a good run, he's back in 12th, about 5 seconds back now.
And not exactly uncommon to have happen. Didn't hear a call over the radio. And when you're that close, you've got to figure out a way to let everybody know that, hey, man, don't be right behind me. I'm about to check up big time to try to get onto pit road. Luckily, no Final 4 driver with any issues right now. But like you said, Zach, closing in on it. Blaine Wilson coming in now this time by. I imagine our next couple laps, our Final 4 may start to think about it.
Yeah, and I kind of thought the 5 was about to hit pit road. The 5 slowed up a lot there in the center corner, then sped back up. I'm wondering if Buzzio just didn't get the call out like he wanted to come to pit road there. And I think I'm right because he's coming this time. And whew, he gave us some good time doing that for extra lap. Let's see if he can get this car woed up to 45 mile an hour for pit speed, as he does do a good job of that. But this right here, an early pit stop for him. You know, he made that pit stop there to get that fuel. This will be an interesting call from him. Does he just, you know, fuel it up or what? Because I think you got to go with tires.
Oh, I 100% agree. You've got at least another set after this on pit road for you. So you take tires here, keep the speed up, and hopefully pitting this early, you're hoping that you're going to be able to pull these other 3 in shortly, because they're going to have to be thinking about the fact that somebody they're racing for a championship here tonight is on pit road undercutting you big time. It's just, do you feel like maybe the undercut's not going to be as strong, and maybe the overcut, maybe just matching, playing it even with these other 2 behind you or in front of you is going to be the key.
Could these 3 get blindsided by this strategy, Brandon? I mean, you know, sometimes as a driver, when you're battling super hard with the same people over and over again throughout the night, you can get caught off guard by someone else doing something different. You know, it's like a racehorse. Do they have their blinders on and just worried about themselves? And Adam Buzzio has pulled the amazing call here to come in early.
Well, like I said earlier, Zach, when you're behind, be bold, and Buzzio is being very bold right now. I think the other 3, they're just so caught up racing with each other like they have been the whole race, like you talked about. They're just not wanting to break away. They don't want to get separated. It's the safer bet to stay even, stay on the equal footing. If you can pit at the exact same time, then that's ideally what you'd like to do. You don't want to think yourself out of a position to win this thing, first of all.
It's easy to do. The mental games are starting to click in, man. I tell you, as a driver myself, it is so easy just to beat yourself. You cannot get caught up into that. You got to hit your marks each and every lap if you want to hold on to anything to fight for this championship. It's going to be so tough to see who can go out here and get it done. As you got Carl Pooler here trying to make his pass here on the Ada Kubinek to break himself in the top 5. What a run that would be for the 71.
And he's had a really good race so far. He's shown flashes of really good speed so far, cracking his way into the top 5 here. Let's see, looking at some of the lap times of the guys around him, he's running not too far off of what Manis is, but it looks like other than Stimpy and Manis was the fastest car on track last time by. We'll have to see what it is this time. Oops, excuse me, looking at the wrong data here. No, Pooler's matching lap times with Manis, so still good pace here to at least get into the top 4 as it stands, but we still have pit stops to do.
We do, and that can make or break these drivers as they're coming here at lap 129 to complete this. It'll be 31 to go this time, and I think this is the best time to get our last commercial break of the night done, as these drivers are going to get ready to set up for pit road. Our top 3 all separated by 0.3 of a second. Adam Buzzio, the other Final 4 contender, already made a pit stop. It's going to be fun to see which pit stop and which strategy plays out the best. You won't miss a thing as we head side by side.
Wanted the best, you got him for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. Dirt Racing will be available September 27th. Pre-order your copy today. He's following, they're wrecking, they're splitting, and it's a complete mayhem.
We have a wreck at the front. 19 goes down into the 7, takes out the 00. They're 5 wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work.
This is it. They're already wrecking into turn 1, and now coming through out of turn 2. This is it, the Daytona. Oh no, they're wrecking contact. Sets gets into the wall. Gonna be scattering on the outside. Drivers on the apron. Drivers coming out of nowhere. Edison on the outside trying to get the win. And it's William Edison stealing it at the line. Into the wall. The 18 trying to block. 77 to get into the 18. That leaves 3 of TJ Roberts. 17 to Gavin Rogers. 3 of TJ Roberts is gonna steal the win here. But second fiddle so many times last season. Christopher Wade wins the season 5 Daytona 200.
And we are back here as you've seen it on side-by-side action. Pit stops all happen during that commercial break. Rogers comes in 1 lap earlier than Stympian and Coffee, but they were able to jump out in front of Gavin Rogers. This was a huge moment here as Adam Buzzio about, it looks like, only 3/10 ahead of this group, so it didn't play out as well I think as Buzzio was liking. But man, oh man, our top 4 here for the playoffs all nose to tail almost. This is going to come down to a barn burner.
And looking at it too, Zach, Buzzio and Rogers last time ran almost identical lap times. This time just a little bit slower for Buzzio. But our next 3, Steven Stympian, Coffee, and Rogers, all running within a couple hundredths of each other with these fresher tires. The most important thing here, Gavin Rogers, he pit that 1 lap early. But Coffee and Stympian had such great entries to pit road trying to race each other that they managed to stay ahead of him on the track.
That they did, and look at this. Here we go, battle for lead, and Buzzio covers it off, and Stympian almost into the back bumper there as he's going to have to go to the inside now of the 5. Luckily for him, he gets a good enough run, but it's going to be side-by-side. This could slow him down and give the opportunity for someone like Alex Coffey. It's crucial for this 81 to get the job done.
And he's going to be able to get it done pretty easily on the inside with those fresher tires. Now, if you are Adam Buzzio, you are right here with him. You just save a little bit. Just stay right in the tire tracks. Stay right in their draft. Let them race and burn their stuff up. Don't hit the wall first and foremost, and you will have a shot.
Unfortunately, into that wall there in 1 and 2. That gives up the position to Coffee and Rogers. And look, they're on the back bumper of Stympian. He's now going to have to fight this off because these drivers to the inside are carrying tons of speed. What are they doing to their tires is going to be the question, because now Rogers has got to be licking his chops knowing that, hey, Stympian and Coffee battling. This gives me an opportunity to maybe make a clean pass on one of them as they're close to wrecking there in the 1 and 2. This is getting a little bit close, and we've seen before contact between these group of drivers. It's very possible we could have that play out again, as there it is. Coffee slides up in front of the 81, but he gets back to the outside, and we're back again side by side here heading into 3.
Well, and I think that was a calculated move from Alex Coffey. Left that outside lane open, not wanting Stympian to be forced to go to the inside. I don't know if Coffey is necessarily comfortable trying to run the outside like Stympian has been.
Does not look that way, but they make 2 clean passes. Is Stympian going to have to rethink his strategy of running this top groove, because this bottom groove is taking off right now? Rogers a little bit loose there through the center of 1 and 2, able to get a little bit of traction off the exit of the corner. But I tell you what, with it being Coffee and Rogers right now out front, I mean, if you're Stympian, let these 2 battle. We've seen what they've done in the past. This could open up the opportunity for him and even Adam Buzzio, because we know these 2, they put everything on the line, and sometimes they step over that line, which causes issues.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen what it's come to between the 7 and the 77 for race wins, let alone a championship win. So fireworks, definitely not out of the realm of possibility here. And Steven Stympian, like you said, his best option now, it looks like he's saving just a little bit, you know, letting these guys try to put down those quick lap times. And if they get together, that busts it wide open for Steven Stympian, because nobody other than these 2 has had anything really close to the consistent pace that he has.
We will have to see. This is going to be fun. 19 to go. Still our top two yet to pit. Doorbell out front. Nigel Christian in the second position. Both of these drivers still yet to pit out front. That's opened up the opportunities here for them if a caution comes out to maybe set themselves up to get some great track position late in this race to pull off a win. But at the moment, it's heating up again still. I mean, it's on. This is the final 19 laps. This is what a championship is decided from, and these three right here are going to be one of the three that wins it unless something catastrophic happens. And Adam Buzzio, who's far enough back now, he can miss it.
Yeah, exactly right. If something were to happen to our top three here, as close as they are, they could all very well end up just firewall deep in the fence, and it's smooth sailing for Adam Buzzio at that point. And I think as it stands now, without a caution, Adam Buzzio maybe just hurt those tires a little bit too much or hit just a little bit too early to be able to hang on and hope that these tires would come back around for him. But these guys are battling side by side, 7 and 77. Stimpian, though, lurking. He's looking to the outside.
Ooh, this was heating up. It almost had the opportunity to go 3 wide for a moment as the 81 pushes the 7 clear of that 7, but they're going to pinch each other here coming off the exit, and this is going to be the momentum to the 81 car. Now the 7 pulls back low, give that draft to the 77, and that's one of the things you can do. You can do different little techniques like this to allow yourself to keep those drivers side by side behind you. Now give the dirty air to Gavin Rogers. Let Stimpian get the clean air. Now Stimpian going to have a massive run down this back straightaway. This is opening up the door for him again.
And right in the catbird seat. And I think it's kind of a game between these guys. Ooh, Stimpian coming down, dumping some dirty air right late exit on Gavin Rogers there. And it really stalled Gavin Rogers out on that exit. The draft now down the front stretch is going to help a little bit here. Stimp trying to work different lanes here. He's searching for a little bit of something.
This is going to come down to a all-out fight between these three in the final 15 laps here as the Buttkicker Cup Series is looking to close out Season 2 with a bang. That's for sure. As I tell you, I don't know which of these drivers is going to pull it off, but Alex Coffey might have pulled the best move of all night. That entry to pit road, that pass on Steven Stimpian could be what he looks back and says, that's the reason why I got this Season 2 championship. But he's opening up the door. Here comes the 81 with the massive run off of 2. He's going to be right on the back bumper off of 2.
Little bump. Going to try to bait him into overdriving the entry and just a little bit more than Stimpian. Stimpian now cutting to the bottom. Going to try to carry that massive run with the later apex. Not quite going to work, though. The outside lane still so good with the tires as they are right now.
It really is. That outside groove working well. What does Coffey do? Now he elects to go back to the bottom, and I like it. He's changing things up. It makes the drivers behind him think, and that's what you want them to do, because if they overthink it, they have issues, and you just clean sailing away from here. But I don't think we're going to see clean sailing. These three have been so close to each other when it comes to speed. But Stimpian with the interesting line. He enters 3 and 4 there, Brandon, cuts it down. It's been producing speed, but what will that do to the tires is my big question.
Well, that's going to be heating up that right front a tremendous amount. That is 100% for sure. My thought here is I was expecting somebody to lay back just a little bit. In that last 10 laps, that's kind of in my mind, that's the go switch. Anything you've got left, you are going 100%. And if it's enough, then it's going to be enough. And if not, well, then you're just going to have to settle for second or third. But you just try to save as much as you can while not losing touch for that point in the race. But it doesn't seem like anybody's waiting that long. Maybe Gavin Rogers waiting that little bit longer than what we've seen the 81 and the 7.
And you got to remember, he has 1 lap older tires. He could be looking to make that difference up here by saving that little bit. But it's going to be tough. We're going to be coming to 11 to go next time by. Still our top 2 yet to pit. I expect a pit stop from one of them in the next 5 laps because of fuel. So we won't see them stretch it all the way out to the end. But it doesn't matter. If one of these guys right here in this picture doesn't win, it's just about finishing ahead of the next one. And here comes a good run from the 81 once again. Looks like he's starting to fight back, but the 7 covers it off and dumps the dirty air on that 81.
And that's textbook defensive driving right there. You just try to take away their line, make them deal with that dirty air. and you know where that's where Stympian's been comfortable. That's where he's been finding his speed, is around the top. Make him look somewhere else. And anytime that Stympian's had to go to a different lane to try to make that pass, it hasn't worked out so far.
It has not. It just hasn't been able to work that bottom as well as the others. We'll see if he can do it here, though. This is going to be so crucial for the 81. He wants to get this job done. He wants to get that championship, but Alex Coffey wants it just as bad. And looking back to last season, Coffey was the winner here at Kansas, so he knows how to get it done at this racetrack, especially with the battle him and Rogers had here. It could very well come down to that same battle as Rogers. He's starting to heat back up here a little bit, find a little bit more pace in that 77 machine. So I think maybe he played a little bit of possum here and dropped back a few little tenths and now is finding that pace he needs. But again, it's going to come down to one of these top three. If they don't have something go wrong, then Adam Buzzio, he could right there be in the picture still.
Oh, absolutely. This is turning up, and like I said, Zach, 10 to go, and suddenly Gavin Rogers turning a little bit quicker lap times. He may have been baiting him. Oh, Coffey just a little bit too high. That's going to open the door now for Stympian to the bottom. Stympian able to carry a really good run with that later apex line. He's going to be side by side across the stripe.
And actually across the line that time, he was ahead. He wants this. 8 to go. Can he get it done? He runs the middle groove, but it's just going to get too tight there as the 7 came down and just not able to run the bottom as efficiently as these other two. That's going to come back to hurt him, not being able to run the bottom like them. That could hurt this 81, and now the 7 loves what he sees, the side-by-side action behind him in the mirror. That opens up the opportunity for him to just get a little bit of breathing room, and sometimes that's all you need in racing.
Well, it might be a good play here for the 81 to kind of settle in behind Gavin Rogers. Gavin seems to have a little bit more pace than these two. If they get side by side, that could open the door for Stympian. That could open up a lane. Maybe they bang doors. Maybe they both have to check up, and that's smooth sailing for you. But he is elected. I'm going to fight. I'm not going to let you guys determine how my season ends here. I'm going to use everything I've got and try to make this pass.
This is heart-pounding moments here at Kansas. 7 mere laps to go, coming to 6 to go, and Stympian with that line he's running is getting a great run off of 4. That's really allowing him to close up to the 7. But as soon as he does, the 7 dumps the dirty air right on him. And right there into the wall was the 7, but he goes low. That's going to open up some clean air for the 81. He could have a good run here down the backstretch.
Now look at it. Not a tremendous run, but there is a run. The draft helping just a little bit. Coffey not blocking the top, though. We're going to see what Stimp can do here. Again, cuts it back to the bottom, straight lines the exit. And it's not as big of a run as I would hope it to be.
It really was not. 5 laps to go here to decide a champion. Coffey in the wall again. That checks Stympian up there on the entry. That's going to allow Rogers to get back alongside him. And right here, they're catching the 20 of Christensen right on the exit. This is starting to get a little bit mixy here between this top group. And Borbell up front still yet to pit. Can he save enough fuel to make it?
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be a tremendous story with everything that's been going on here. Oh, man. Gavin Rogers, a little bit of an incident with the 20 of Christensen.
That right there changed the perplexion of how this is playing out. 4 laps to go. Stympian back to the inside line. Coffey not giving him room. That's the smart play there from the 7, just to stick it on the door of the 81. I think this 81 might be in trouble for making a pass on the bottom. He just hasn't had that solution yet to get the pass done.
And that is a result of the line that he's been running to try to generate the time that he needs to regain on the 7 here. He's just hurt that right front so much that the bottom's not quite an option for him anymore.
It really is not. 3 laps to go. Borbell still trying to make this a victory as he's about 4 seconds ahead of this group, but I think he's running out of gas on the back straightaway, wiggling the 2 back and forth. These 3 are going to pass him here in the next lap, and this is going to be the battle for the win and the battle for the championship. When they come to the line, it's going to be 2 laps to go. Stympian cutting low, the 7 looking to cover it off, but I don't think the 81 going to have the run he needs as it's 2 laps to go here for the Buttkicker 240 and a championship ready to be decided.
And that center point of the straightaways, that draft really kicks in. It allows Stympian to close in. Again, he's going to try to cut down, use the middle, but the run off the top is just so good for Alex Coffey.
It's been so strong. The 7 all the woes he's went through this season, the ups, the downs, the controversy, the moments that he could look back and say that was a championship deciding moment. But out of 4, he's going to look up to the flag stand. He's going to see the white flag. 1 lap to go. It's your Freaky Fast white flag, and we got 1 lap here at Kansas to decide who's the champion. Coffee just needs to hold on for 2 more corners, and he's got it done.
Stympian trying to make a late charge here, but just too tight off the bottom. It's going to allow that gap to extend as we go down into turns 3 and 4. 1 more set of corners for Alex Coffey.
Alex Coffey with the run, the strategy to get to the lead, and he did it. He pulls it off out of 4. Alex Coffey, he's your Season 2 Wicked Racing League champion. Congrats to Alex Coffey. What a drive from that driver. Steven Stympian brings it home second, Gavin Rogers third, and it looks like Nigel Christensen is going to bring it home in 4th, saving the fuel. So great job by Christensen. He gets it done to hold on to 4th as a non-playoff driver, and it looks like Adam Buzzio is going to have to bring it home in 7th, just with not the right strategy call to pit that early. The 81 giving the 7 some love, knowing he drove the right race to pull it off, and he did what he needed to do. That was an amazing job, and what a battle between our top 3 there.
Yeah, these guys laid it all out, and you know, unfortunate for some that there wasn't quite enough left in the tank to mount that charge to get that pass done, and Coffey played it perfect. Like you said, it could all come down to that pit entry, just flying around the outside, getting as much as he could to try to stay even with Stympian, and came out right behind him, just ahead of Gavin Rogers, and allowed him to set himself up to take that lead.
What a job by Alex Coffey. Celebrate, because you're the champion here in the Wicked Racing League. We'll get to talk to that champion here in the next few moments as he burns it down. We'll be right back with our post-race interviews. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're not going to want to miss it. We are back here, folks. Season finale is concluded, and we have a champion. Alex Coffey, what a drive from him. He was able to get it done in the mere ending of this race. I mean, just an excellent job from the guy because wasn't in the lead near the end, but got there at the right time. Let's go ahead and talk to our champion of the Wicked Racing League for the Buttkicker Cup Series. He's got to be elated. Alex Coffey, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sir, I got you.
Well, buddy, congrats. You are the Wicked Racing League Season 2 champion. I mean, that's got to feel amazing.
Yeah, I'm really happy. Been chasing a league championship for a while, not just in this league, but just on iRacing in general. Always make it to the Final Four and can't figure out how to get it there, but I played the cards right tonight, I think, and pretty happy about it for sure.
Well, Alex, you were there all night, just stalking and waiting. What was it that you managed to figure out that you played strategy-wise that allowed you to finally get ahead of these guys and then hold them off for that long to claim this championship?
Just kind of, I was kind of watching what they were doing and just seeing the trends of when they would hit certain fall offs with times and stuff like that. The first stage, I didn't have nothing for them, so I definitely had to think of something. And I knew if you could get up there, it's really hard to pass with old tires. So I knew if I could get up there and maintain until the tires got semi-old, it'd be a little harder to pass, and it ended up working out.
Well, Alex, you did the job, man. It's got to feel amazing. I mean, take us through like the last 10 laps. You had to be on the edge there trying to cover off those lanes. I mean, what was the biggest thing in your mind that you had to do to get this done?
Just mainly watching for a big run and trying to take air off of a big run. I know me and Stempian was running two different lines, almost completely different lines. So he'd have some runs sometimes that were huge, and if I could go in on the top line in front of him when he had that run, I knew he would take the air off the nose and he would push a little bit. So just keeping air on their nose and keeping the momentum up on my line and keeping the temperatures on the tires down, keeping it smooth.
Well, Alex, you did everything you needed to, man. That was an excellent drive right at the right time in the final stage to get to the lead when you needed it most, my friend. Congrats on the championship. You earned it. But before we let you get out here and go celebrate this thing, who do you want to send a shout out to for your amazing season?
I got a lot of shout outs this time. We're going to go on the list. Shout out CNC Esports, my team. We put in a lot of practice, me and Dallas and Blaine and Nigel and TJ as well. Blaine and Nigel in 2018 racing. Put in a lot of practice this week, and they helped me, running around other cars and stuff. Shout out to my mom tuning in every race this season. I really appreciate it more than she knows. And shout out to y'all for the broadcasts all season. They've been great. And Buzzy O for all the work he's put in as admin and manager of the league this season and last season. And yeah, shout out to Gavin and Steven there. That was a fun battle throughout that whole 160 laps. So they had a good clean battle, good hard racing. So shout out to those two as well.
It definitely was a good, hard battle, my friend. Congrats on the championship. Cherish it and have a great night celebrating this thing.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, folks, that was your champion of the Wicked Racing League Season number 2, Alex Coffey here from the Buttkicker Cup Series. What a job by that man, able to get it done in the closing laps of this race. Let's bring up the drivers now that finished just behind him. It's Steven Stippian and the 81 machine, able to bring it home in second position, just short of a championship, but a valiant effort from that team. Hey, Steven, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, man, just coming up short here tonight for that championship. It was a amazing battle between you, Gavin, and Alex there, coming down all the way to the end. Take us through what you needed there to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really, as much as it stinks losing the championship, I can't really be disappointed there. I gave it my all, and some things were working. I think I needed to make a pass sooner, but I was worried about Gavin. I thought he was laying back and just waiting for us to go at it, and I wasn't trying to let that happen, so I was trying to cut off runs, and What can you do, man? I was out there pushing really hard, but yeah, it was fun. I mean, I'm sure it was a good broadcast. Even even with just 3 guys battling there for the last 20 or so laps, I'm sure it was entertaining for you guys.
Well, Steven, we saw how hard of a fight you put up throughout this entire race, always at the front, uh, making good strategy calls. Is there any one moment throughout this race that you can think back to and say, if I'd have maybe done this a little bit differently, maybe I'd have finished just one position better?
Yeah, I think when he was getting into the wall a couple of times on the high line, I should have. If I predicted that better, I could have ran the second lane a little bit because I mean, when the track temp cooled down, this thing was rotating. I mean, I'd send it up high and it rotated in the middle and I'd exit low. It was wild. When the track changed like that, my car it was turning so well in the middle of the corner. So I knew I had, such good speed in the middle and then off. I just think, there's a couple of things I could have done. Maybe not let them, maybe just go all out, and let the tires wear, see what happens. But we saw that in the first stage. I wasn't trying to let that happen again. And then maybe when he pinched me a little bit, maybe give him a little bit of the quarter panel a little bit, get him a little out of shape. Who knows? Whatever. Can't be disappointed. I mean, it is what it is. It was a good time. I had fun.
It was fun for us up here in the booth, Steven. It was a blast to watch for sure. I'm sure it was fun from the cockpit. Unfortunately, just coming up a little bit short here tonight with that championship. But finishing second, still a great debut season for you here at the Wicked Racing League. But before we let you get out of here, anybody want to send a shout out to for your season 2 here?
Yeah, big props for Cedric. Cedric Hunter was sparring for me tonight. Kept me on my A game, kept me on my toes. He really did a great job tonight. Helped me a lot. Keep me calm. He was the man. I appreciate that, Cedric. Big appreciation to him, and then obviously you guys for everything you guys do week in, week out. My guys over at Cat 5 and my dad out there supporting. I know my buddy Jarrett was watching, big NASCAR fan like me from back in the day. I know my wife was out there watching. She said, you're probably going to finish second again because you've been lately just finishing second in every league you're in. So we'll see what happens. Love them all. My pops out there, my wife, and love you guys too, man. It's been fun.
It's definitely been fun, Steven. Congrats on the amazing season, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, and congrats to Coffee. I didn't really get to see that in my interview. I'm sorry. Forgot about that, Coffee. Congratulations, man. And heck of a job, everybody else, Gavin. That was fun. I'll see you guys later.
Later on, Steven, and congrats on your season. All right, folks, that was your second place, man. Just coming up second in the championship, not able to get it done, but we do have our third place driver joining us actually in the booth here. Gavin Rogers we're unsure if he was going to make an appearance, but it looks like he will. So let's talk to him after just coming up just a little bit short of his second championship. Gavin, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure.
Well, buddy, I know you wanted to pull that one off. Just coming up a little bit short here in the third place position. What did you need more there to get that done?
Honestly, just a hotter track temp, to be honest, because what I was doing there, just running that seam to get some more wear on the right rear so I can even out my tires so I can be a little bit looser. And it just got too cool to where I couldn't really get it to step out there, and that was ultimately what threw the championship away from me. But just want to give a huge congrats to Alex. He really had it tonight and just showed it at the end, obviously making no mistakes, and it was a good race overall for all of us. I know there wasn't too many drivers, but either way, it was still fun and this great season overall.
Well, Gavin, just a little bit short tonight, but you were there the entire night, battling hard, contending, and swapping back and forth with Stympian throughout the entire race, and then Coffee as he figured out a little something there towards the end. And I got the same question for you that I asked Stympian. Is there anything you can think back to during this race? Maybe one moment or one strategy call that you did or didn't make that maybe could have landed you just a couple spots further and got your second championship tonight?
I don't know. I think I did all I really could have done. Maybe pit and get like a lap or two fresher tires when those couple cautions came out at the beginning of the final stage. And I don't know if he would have even been able to pass leaders because it was already too cool of a track by then. But yeah, I really think I did the best I could. Just came up a couple spots short.
I gotta agree with you, Gavin. You did everything you could, man. Just came up a little bit short of that second championship, but still a valiant effort and an amazing race between you top three up front. But before we let you get out of here, anybody you want to send a shout out to for your season 2 here at Wicked Race League?
Yeah. First off, congrats to Alex. He did a great job that race and really the whole season. Shout out to Mason being my spotter tonight. He did a great job helping me out there, trying to keep me calm and help me stay fast. And shout out to Freedom Motorsports and Next Level Motorsports, everybody who's been along all season. It's been fun with being with the Freedom Motorsports group. They're always fun. Jimmy and Bean and Steven. It's and Giovanni. It was a lot of fun this season. I also want to give a shout out to all the admins. You know, they did a great job this season keeping us all together. Shout out to admin, the manager, Nigel, Alex, TJ, Blaine. I can't name them all off the top of my head, but shout out to my parents as well, my family, my aunts, uncles, brothers, my grandparents watching, my employees watching, Giovanni, David, their families, and shout out to you guys. You guys did great this season. Thank you.
Well, Gavin, thank you so much, buddy. Congrats on having a good season this season. I know you wanted to get that championship, but it'll be another chance for you in the future, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Thank you, guys.
All right, folks, that was your third place driver here tonight, and third place man in the championship of Gavin Rogers. What a valiant effort there. Was right there in the mix all the way coming down to the end to try to get that second championship, but just came up a little bit short. But let's go ahead and move on to our spotlight driver of the night, and that's going to be Nigel Christensen. What a job by him to finish fourth and pull off a strategy that I think could have been an interesting one for maybe some of these Final Four contenders to pull off, but Christensen did it better than anybody. Let's talk to him on an excellent end to his season. Hey, Nigel, it's Zach and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
Well, man, what an excellent strategy call by you. You take it there, come to pit road before we go back to green there to get the most fuel in that car as possible, and you take it 54 laps all the way to the end. How did you pull that off, and how close were you to running out?
Calculator said 0.2 gallons left, so I was right. I was about empty. I wish I would have been a little bit closer to the pack at the start, though, because I gave up too much time. Which is what cost me there at the end. But yeah, just clutched it, just held the clutch in the whole time, turned the car off, and let it roll around the corner. So, yeah.
Well, Nigel, coming out of here tonight, season finale, with a fourth place finish, a solid top 5, especially since you missed the grid at the start and had to start way behind the pack here. Just take us through your race and how you were able to kind of get up through the field a little bit, and then at what point you realized, oh man, I'm pretty sure I can make it from to the end of the race here on fuel.
Well, first of all, shout out to that race. That was awesome to those guys battling for the championship. That was a great race from my point of view. I'm sure it was even better from the broadcast. But yeah, I did start in the pits. I had some things come up and I had to barely made the start. But honestly, I was just kind of riding, and then when that caution came out with 54, I knew that it was going to be close. I was like, I think I can save 4 laps of fuel, and I just knew I had to back it way down. Unfortunately, I was like 6 laps short from being able to win, but I kind of figured that at that point I could make it. I could save about 4 laps.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised, Nigel, no other people tried that strategy. Are you kind of surprised along with that nobody kind of topped off like you did there and tried to stretch it out?
Yeah, I was actually surprised that Adam Buzzio didn't, because he pit the same lap I did, but he didn't come back down again. So I was like, okay, he might actually be setting himself up to win this race. And then he didn't pit, and then he took off with the pack, and then he pit early. So I was like, that was the only question that I had, I guess, because I thought maybe that was the idea that he had, but unfortunately he didn't.
Yeah, we were thinking the same thing up in the booth here, but man, what a season finale. What a closer out here tonight to pull off that 4th place finish for you and stretch the fuel, I think, longer than anybody thought was possible here tonight, man. But before we let you get out of here and go celebrate this 4th place finish, and your season here, Nigel. Anybody want to send a shout out to for season 2?
Honestly, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Genuinely, great job this season. Thanks for sticking through it with us and doing everything that you've done, and allowing us to put on a show for you guys, and you guys being able to showcase it for everybody that wants to watch. So thank you to that. Obviously, thanks to my dad for watching, and Blaine Wilson over at 2018 Racing, and obviously congratulations to the Championship 4, and congratulations to Alex Coffey on winning the championship.
It was a great championship finale, Nigel, and I tell you what, it's going to be one to go back and watch for a long time. So, man, congrats on 4th, and have a great time out there next season.
Thanks.
All right, folks, that was your Spotlight Driver. What a season we've had here for season number 2. Christensen stretches the fuel the longest and pulls off a strategy that I don't think many really thought about, but it was all about this driver in the number 7 who won the championship. Alex Coffey able to get it done and get his first championship here at the Wicked Racing League, and it's definitely a well-deserved one. But before we get out here and give you your final thoughts for the rest of the season, we're going to look at the unofficial results here tonight, as Alex Coffey with that victory is going to be, like I said, your season 2 Buttkicker Cup Series champion here at the Buttkicker 240. What a way to do it, and I can tell you what, he's feeling everything right now. So it is definitely, he's feeling what he's been missing with that championship piece. So that's great for him. Second is going to go to Steven Stippian. Third is going to go to Gavin Rogers. Fourth is going to go to Nigel Christensen. Fifth is going to be Dallas Manis. Sixth is going to be Carl Pula with a great end to his season run. Seventh is going to be Adam Buzzio. Definitely probably a little disappointed in his run here tonight. Went with the off-the-wall strategy, tried everything in game plan, but just could not get it done. We'll end up 4th in that championship here in the finale. 8th's going to go to Johnny Shade. 9th's Richard Wolsifer. And rounding out our top 10 here for the Freaky Fast top 10 is Jimmy Kubanek. And what a season we've had, and what a way to close it out here, Brandon. I tell you, Kansas, we couldn't have asked for a better finale here at a track like this. It really gave opportunities to these drivers to search all around.
It sure did, Zach. And, when I heard that the finale was going to be at Kansas, I was a little bit worried, just knowing the kind of boring racing this place can produce under the wrong conditions. But we got the perfect version of Kansas here tonight, and you couldn't have asked for a better finale. Our top 4 on top of each other for a decent portion of the night. Our top 3 the entire race, all over each other, swapping back and forth, battling hard but battling clean, and just utilizing every trick that they have up their sleeve to try to get the position over one another. Coffey, he pulled it out flawlessly. He dumped the dirty air when he needed to. He was always putting himself in the right position to give himself the best chance to defend any attack that came from behind, and it worked out. And he is your season 2 champion here at the Wicked Racing League, and congrats to him.
Most definitely, Brandon. Congrats to him. What an excellent season he had. I mean, it was definitely defined by some wild moments, but tonight is what's going to define it the most. That victory here is going to seal the deal, give him the championship for season 2, and he's going to definitely feel confident heading into the next seasons here at the Wicked Racing League. We want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in here tonight, not only, but also throughout the season here on Wednesday nights here at Freaky Fast broadcasting for the Wicked Racing League. It's been a pleasure for myself to call the races. Thank you to Brandon for joining us up here. Thank you to Sam Dyer for being in the booth. I mean, it's been a pleasure completely to get this done in here at season number 2. And I tell you, man, I can't wait to see what this league does in the future. So thank you to everybody for tuning in. It's been a pleasure. And until the next time we're here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you very much for tuning in. As I always say, stay freaky fast.